Mr. Hume, it is indeed an extraordinary privilege to finally engage with you directly. Your writings, particularly your Enquiry concerning human understanding, stirred me from a profound dogmatic slumber, for which I am truly indebted. Yet, your conclusions, sir, leave us in an intellectual void. You famously assert that all the objects of human reason or inquiry may naturally be divided into two kinds, to wit, relations of ideas and matters of fact. My question to you, then, is this. Can we truly know anything beyond our senses? Your empiricism, while rigorous, seems to deny any knowledge beyond mere perception.
Professor Kant, the pleasure is entirely mine, and I assure you, my aim is not to leave you in a void, but rather to ground our understanding in the only reliable source, experience. You ask if we can know anything beyond our senses. My contention is simple, yet profound. All our ideas are nothing but copies of our impressions, or in other words, that it is impossible for us to think of anything which we have not antecedently felt, either by our external or internal senses. If we possess an idea, and you cannot point to the impression from which it derives, then I submit that idea is, quite frankly, meaningless. What beyond do you propose, sir, that does not ultimately trace its lineage back to sensation?
But here lies the crux of our disagreement, Mr. Hume. Consider the concept of causality. You observe a ball striking another, and the second ball moves. You observe this conjunction repeatedly. You rightly point out that we never perceive the necessary connection, only the constant conjunction. From this, you conclude that our belief in causality is merely a habit, a customary conjunction. Is that not so?
Precisely. It is a psychological habit, a useful one for navigating the world, but a habit nonetheless. We have no impression of this necessary connection. To posit such a connection beyond what we observe is to engage in speculation, not genuine knowledge. When we entertain, therefore, any suspicion that a philosophical term is employed without any meaning or idea, we need but inquire, from what impression is that supposed idea derived? If none can be assigned, the term is mere sophistry.
This, Mr. Hume, is where your empiricism falls short, profoundly short. For if causality were merely a habit, then all the laws of nature, all of physical science, would be nothing more than contingent observations, lacking any universality or necessity. Our science would be built upon shifting sands. I contend that certain concepts such as causality, substance, and reciprocity are not derived from experience, but are rather the very conditions under which experience becomes possible. These are my categories of the understanding, a priori concepts that reside in the mind itself.
Conditions for the possibility of experience. Professor, this sounds suspiciously like erecting a grand house upon foundations that are themselves invisible and, dare I say, imaginary. You posit these categories as independent of sensation, but if they are independent, how do we know them? Where is the impression of causality itself, distinct from the impressions of constantly conjoined events? You seem to be asserting a knowledge of the mind's inner workings that itself lies beyond any empirical observation. Is this not simply another form of dogmatism, albeit one dressed in more elaborate garb?
Not at all, Mr. Hume. You ask for an impression of the very tools by which impressions are ordered. This is akin to asking for an impression of the eye that sees or the hand that grasps. The categories are not objects of experience. They are the fundamental structures of our understanding, the rules by which we synthesize the manifold of intuition into coherent, unified experience. Without them, experience would be nothing but a rhapsody of perceptions, a chaotic jumble of sensations.
Professor, your eloquence is undeniable, and your system, I grant you, is a marvel of intellectual construction. But forgive my persistent doubt. You wish to have knowledge that is both universally true and expands our understanding, without recourse to experience. This, to my mind, is to desire a square circle. You speak of the mind structuring experience, of categories that are the very conditions for the possibility of experience. Yet, what is the proof of these conditions? They are, by your own admission, not derived from experience. And if they are not derived from experience, then they remain, for all your intricate arguments, mere postulates of reason, perhaps even fictions of the intellect, however aesthetically pleasing they may be. Indeed, your synthetic a priori judgments appear to me as either analytical, their truth discoverable by mere inspection of the terms, thus yielding no new knowledge, or empirical, their truth dependent on experience, thus lacking universality and necessity. When we run over libraries, persuaded of these principles, what havoc must we make? If we take in our hand any volume, of divinity or school metaphysics, for instance, let us ask, does it contain any abstract reasoning concerning quantity or number? Number. Does it contain any experimental reasoning concerning matter of fact and existence? Number, commit it then to the flames, for it can contain nothing but sophistry and illusion. Your elaborate system, sir, risks a similar fate, for it postulates a knowledge that I simply cannot locate in the crucible of experience.